Everyone told you that you were special. Your parents protected you, praised you, and chose you above the rest. That felt like love. It was not love, it was a sentence. The world you were prepared for does not exist. The real world does not care who your parents favored. It does not reward you for being chosen. It rewards you for being capable. And if you were the golden child, capability is the one thing nobody bothered to build in you. This is not about blaming your parents. This is about facing what favoritism actually produces. A person who looks confident on the surface but collapses the moment life stops cooperating. A person who was handed validation so consistently that they never learned how to earn it. Machiavelli once said, "He who has not first laid his foundations may be able with great ability to lay them afterwards, but they will be laid with trouble to the architect and danger to the building." You were given the building. Nobody taught you how to lay the foundation. Today you will see the 6 ways golden child syndrome has damaged you and what it is going to cost you if you do not address it now. Before we go further, drop this in the comments. I was built for approval, but I choose to be built for results. Number 1, you were trained to need an audience. The golden child does not perform for themselves, they perform for the person who gave them the crown. From an early age, you learned that your worth was tied to someone else's reaction. You got praise when you succeeded, you got rescued when you failed. The feedback loop was constant, and your brain wired itself around that loop. Now you're in the real world, and the audience is gone. Your boss does not clap when you finish a project. Your colleagues do not tell you that you are the best. And instead of pushing forward anyway, you stall. You look for reassurance that does not come. You interpret silence as failure. Research on family dynamics shows that children identified as the favored child develop higher rates of external validation seeking in adulthood. They struggle to self-direct because direction always came from outside. You were never taught to be your own compass. You were taught to follow applause. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He wrote that a man who depends entirely on the fortune of others carries within him the seeds of his own collapse. Your need for an audience is that seed. The world will not give you a standing ovation for showing up. The sooner you stop waiting for one, the sooner you start building something real. Number 2, you never developed tolerance for failure. The golden child does not fail, or more accurately, the golden child is not allowed to fail. Parents intervene, blame gets redirected, excuses get made. You were shielded from the natural consequences of your mistakes so consistently that you never built the one skill every high performer depends on, the ability to fail, absorb the lesson, and move forward without falling apart. Watch what happens to golden children in competitive environments. They either avoid challenge entirely, choosing paths where they know they will look good, or they collapse when they encounter genuine resistance for the first time. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Family Psychology found that favoritism correlates directly with lower frustration tolerance and higher emotional reactivity in adulthood. You were not toughened, you were wrapped. This is not a minor problem. Failure is the primary teacher of strategy. Every person who operates at a high level has a long history of failure behind them. They know how to take a hit and recalculate. You were never given that training, so when the hit comes, and it always comes, you do not recalculate. You panic. You blame. You look for someone to rescue you the way you were always rescued before. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is a woman, and to keep her under it is necessary to beat and ill-use her. That is not a comfortable idea. But the point is clear. The world requires aggression toward adversity, not a retreat from it. You were trained to retreat. Number 3. Your identity is built on comparison, not character. The golden child does not exist in isolation. The role only means something because there are other children who are not the golden one. From the beginning, your value was defined relative to someone else. You were smarter than your sibling, more responsible, more loved. Your identity did not form around who you are. It formed around who you are compared to. This is one of the most destructive legacies of favoritism. When your self-worth is built on comparison, you become permanently dependent on being above someone. The moment someone performs better than you, your identity cracks. You do not see it as competition. You feel it as an attack on your fundamental worth. In professional settings, this produces a specific and toxic pattern. The golden child adult cannot celebrate the success of peers. They interpret others winning as themselves losing. They become territorial, defensive, and in some cases quietly destructive toward colleagues who outperform them. None of this is conscious. It is the direct result of an identity that was never built on internal standards. Machiavelli said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. A person whose identity depends on being above others will always surround themselves with people smaller than them. They will never build a strong team, they will never invite genuine challenge, and they will never grow beyond the ceiling that comparison sets for them." Number 4, you were never taught to read people accurately. The golden child grows up in a distorted social environment. People treat you differently because of your status in the family. Your needs get prioritized. Your opinions get weight they have not earned. Adults defer to you, siblings accommodate you. And you begin to believe this is how people naturally respond to you. It is not. It is how people respond to the position you hold in your family system. The moment you leave that system, the position disappears, but your expectations do not. You walk into new environments expecting the same deference. When you do not get it, you misread the situation entirely. You think people are being cold when they're being neutral. You think you are being challenged when people are being honest. You have no accurate baseline for how social dynamics work outside the protected environment you were raised in. This produces a person who is consistently blindsided in friendships, in professional relationships, in romantic situations. You keep getting surprised by how people actually operate because you were never exposed to how people actually operate. You were only exposed to how people behave around the family favorite. Machiavelli spent his entire career studying human behavior as it is, not as people pretend it to be. He wrote that the gap between how men live and how they ought to live is so wide that the man who neglects what is done for what ought to be done learns his ruin rather than his preservation. You were raised in the ought to be. The real world runs on what is. Number 5, you struggle with genuine accountability. When you were the golden child, mistakes had soft landings. Your parents minimized them, excused them, sometimes blamed other people entirely. You were not held to the same standard as your siblings, and over time you internalized a belief that consequences are negotiable. That if you are important enough, or sorry enough, or charming enough, the consequences will soften or disappear. They do not disappear in the real world. Your employer does not negotiate your performance review because you had a difficult childhood. Your clients do not forgive missed deadlines because you are used to being treated as special. The law does not bend because someone once told you that you were exceptional. Golden children in adulthood often develop a pattern psychologists call entitlement-based excuse-making. When something goes wrong, the first move is to find an external explanation. The project failed because the team was weak. The relationship ended because the other person was unreasonable. The opportunity was lost because of bad timing. The accountability never lands on the self, and because it never lands on the self, nothing ever changes. This is where the damage becomes permanent if left unaddressed. A person who refuses accountability refuses growth. Every mistake contains information. That information is only useful if you claim the mistake as yours. The golden child was trained to hand the mistake to someone else. That training will destroy your potential if you let it continue. Machiavelli was direct on this. He wrote that a prince who is not himself wise cannot be wisely advised. Wisdom begins with the ability to assess yourself without defense. You were never trained to do that. Number 6, you were given love with conditions attached, and it warped how you see relationships. This is the one most people miss. The golden child was not loved unconditionally. They were loved for performing the role of the golden child. The praise came when you excelled. The protection came when you were the one worth protecting. The favoritism was, at its core, a transaction. You gave your parents something, a reflection of their values, their hopes, their ego, and they gave you their preference in return. You may not have seen it as a transaction at the time, but your nervous system learned the terms: stay exceptional, stay worthy, keep performing. The love continues as long as the performance continues. This produces adults who are terrified of being ordinary, not because ordinary is bad, but because ordinary, in their wiring, means unlovable, so they overwork, they overachieve, they perform in every relationship, personal and professional, because rest feels like abandonment waiting to happen. Machiavelli understood the danger of relationships built on conditions. He wrote that a wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men and to imitate those who have been supreme. But he also understood that any man who builds his security entirely on the goodwill of others builds on sand. The golden child's emotional foundation is sand. It looks solid when conditions are good. The first storm proves otherwise. Here is what this all comes down to. Being favored did not give you an advantage. It gave you a set of invisible liabilities that most people around you will never warn you about because they cannot see them either. The dependency on validation, the inability to fail without fracturing, the identity built on comparison, the distorted read on human behavior, the reflexive avoidance of accountability, the performing instead of connecting. None of this is permanent, but none of it fixes itself. The work is to build what should have been built from the beginning. Tolerance for failure, identity grounded in your own standards, accountability without defense, the ability to read people and situations without the filter of entitlement. Pick one of these 6 areas. For the next 30 days, watch yourself in that area. Do not try to fix all 6 at once. Watch one. Notice how often the pattern shows up. That awareness alone will begin to shift it. If this video told you something about yourself that nobody else was willing to say, hit the like button. If you want more content that strips away the comfortable lies and shows you how the world actually operates, subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop a comment and tell me which of these 6 patterns you recognized in yourself. Be honest. The comment section is where the real work starts. The golden child was the favorite, but favorites are chosen by others. Your goal now is to build something no one can take away because no one gave it to you. You built it yourself. Stay strategic, stay honest, stay building.